afternoon, and thank you so very much for tuning in. This is episode 30 of the High Vibe Human Experience Hangout with your host. I'm Heidi Pop, and I love to have conversations with, I call them high vibe way showers. They're walking the walk, talking the talk, being the solution out there, delivering uplifting content, and they're following their bliss and doing their passion. And I'd love to have those conversations. So, first of all, hello to the chat. I see you, Blazer. I see you. Hello, Professor G'day and Area 51. And hello to my pet pals that are going to tune in. You know, if anybody ever has a question, just chime it in there. I'd love to share it with Raj. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce my guest. Thank you for being here, Raj of Industry Pets.
Hello, Heidi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hi, Ange. I see you. Folks, if you don't know, so I know I've been talking about VidCon. It's the creator convention that I recently went to. And that is where I got to meet Raj. We were in a mentorship meeting talking about how to develop our platforms and things. And I was listening to his what his channel is. And I'm like, excuse me, can I interview you? And voila, and here we are. So we just met a month ago, and I'm really excited to share about your platform and you. So yay, thanks. Tell us about your platform and when and why you did it.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks again for having me. My name is Raj, and so Industry Pets is something I created. I was in kind of a creative rut coming out of the pandemic. I used to DJ for a lot of years since I was 16, and I'm like 41 now. So a couple of years ago, some of the things that I was doing at my day job, it stopped being involved in the creative process and a little bit more in the upper, levels of things. And with that came kind of a drought of my mind. Like I really felt in a rut, and I was down. I was really depressed and down, and just kind of like I need to do something again, So I've been in radio before. I've been a DJ forever and stuff. So I was like, I should restart a podcast. I've tried a couple attempts before, and I thought to myself, man, but a lot of people have podcasts. So, what's my unique, what do I care about? What do I love? What makes me happy? And right as I was thinking about what makes me happy, my little Italian greyhound, Jean, walked in front of me, and I was like, oh, Jean, I love you. And I was like, I bet everyone loves their pets as much as I do. And I have a bajillion pictures on my phone, a bajillion videos. I talk about them all the time whenever someone wants to, say that they have pets. So I thought, oh, wow, pets. So I know all these great people throughout my career of different industries and stuff. And I love to network anyways. So I said, you know what? Industry pets. It just came across. And I thought, okay, let me start Googling. And it wasn't there, and no one had it and stuff. So that's when I kind of asked my wife, and then created some things and launched it like a little over a year ago. So the core concept is you can understand a lot about people by how they treat their pets.
Oh my God, that was just a year ago? Oh
Yeah.
gosh, look at you go. That was a niche. You found your niche, and it's really cool. And for my folks in the chat, I know you will resonate with this. He dropped his episode today, and it has to do with an animal medium. So that's really exciting. What kind of stories have you seen? Like, what has been some of your most favorite interesting stories? That might be
Well,
hard.
I think the cool part about the show is it's all about like interesting people with cool pets, and that they also have a passion for animals. Every episode, we feature a charity highlight as well. So I think
Nice.
all episodes are special. So you're going to learn about the people, the guests through the animals. I don't just talk to them about what they do. That's the big thing to take away is I don't talk to them about, hey, what's it like to DJ, or whatever. We talk about their animals. So we're literally saying, how did you get your cat? How did you come up with your name? How did you come up with the dog? What are these stories that you have with your pet? So it's literally a conversation about the pets. And at the end, they plug whatever they have going on.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
you put that aside, their little thing aside, and it's like, no, this
Mhm.
is about the pet.
Exactly. So if you're George Clooney, I don't care about your movie. It's like, we're talking about your pet, I
That's
haven't done
awesome.
him yet, but it's like, that's just an example of how the conversations work.
I love that. And I remember you saying something in that networking meeting, and I wanted to ask you about, you don't subscribe to like the crazy exotic pets. Like you're not aligned because there's some like endangered species. Like you're not glamorizing that, huh?
Yeah, with industry pets, I do think that I have a responsibility to continue to spread word about good things. There are
Mhm.
always going to be people who feel differently about different topics because obviously we love to rescue animals, but we love that all animals have a good home. So it doesn't really matter about how the animal came into the world. We want to make sure that it's got a good home. Now, what I don't want to do is interview people who own tigers and things that they maybe shouldn't have. And there are exotic pets, like
Okay, you're right.
up to like maybe like monkeys. Those some people have them. There's like small ones, and it's possible. To have those kind of animals responsibly, but the big tiger, something like that, that Joe Exotics, like, it could eat you or turn on you. I don't really like that, and I don't wanna promote a culture that inspires a kid to get a tiger
Sure.
one day, you know?
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I thought that was very smart. It's again, it's aligning with the right frequency about it all. And with that being said, you mentioned before, and I'm sorry I brushed over that, the charities. Each episode has a charity that you talk about is different from the one before, or do
Exactly.
you
I
okay.
let the guests pick out the charity. So
Oh,
every
cool.
episode, the guest picks some kind of charity or good cause that they want to spread awareness for, and it has to be animal related. So
Okay.
what's cool is as the show grows, hopefully, then the shows are evergreen because we all love to hear pet stories, and I don't think they get old. And the stories don't
Mhm.
really devalue as life goes on. If the pet's not around anymore, 10 years from now, you still got to hear somebody's moment in time that they were sharing about their pet. So I think that they live forever. But as the show grows and this content is watched, hopefully by more and more people, you might benefit a shelter 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. That's just some small shelter in Ohio or something. So
That's so cool. Bringing all that awareness. Blazer, it's so funny you mentioned that because before we went live here, he's talking about squatches. We were talking about Sasquatch. I was telling about that Bigfoot experience and we were sharing some tales. So it's funny you mentioned that. And my friend, Ange, I believe you're down in Oz. Animals ground us. Love my fur babies. Yeah. Do some of your guests, do they talk about that and just how grounding and how, I mean, that's what I
yeah.
feel with mine. I feel safe and grounded when I'm around a pet. They
So
really balance my energy.
absolutely. One of the questions I ask a lot of my guests is how does let's say their animal, let's say it was Bill, how does Bill affect your mental health? How does having a cat affect your mental health? How does having a snake affect your mental health?
Mhm.
Coming up soon, I have someone that owns a skunk that's going to be a guest that is a guest on the show. It's recorded, it just hasn't been released. So it's like, how do these animals affect your mental health? And the response you get is so genuine and candid because people, or as they're explaining it, they're tapping into emotions that are very real to them because they're reliving it almost as they're telling you about why they're important to them. So it's a beautiful
Mhm.
thing to share, and absolutely, animals
The
ground us and are great.
the ground they transmute, they said. Yes. Oh, and before I introduce Kitty Queen, I love Miss High Paranormal Pixie, Air 51. You could see the themes, the handles. We got all the paranormal themes. But yeah, he's right. He said there was a guy who owned exotic animals, including a cheetah. It got out and then he got arrested. So yeah, some of those, yeah, I do not.
Mhm.
I'm like, wait a second, we're pushing it there. So here's Paranormal Pixie. Hello. She has a foster kitty right now. She's
Oh,
surrounded by
hello.
the kitties. They call her Kitty Queen. Um, yeah, and I'm surprised he's very quiet, but and I've been doing random vlogs for 4 years, but I've been doing guests or random things, and everything I've ever done, really 99% of my dog Bo makes an appearance. He either starts barking or he jumps up, or so I'm kind of hoping he says hi today, but he's a rescue. Do you have a lot of rescue peeps? I know, is that, and that's probably more often with dogs than cats. Well, I guess anybody's a rescue, huh? If you adopt it
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah,
Right?
and actually, it's funny. A core concept, another like kind of I guess tagline that we use is "Pets rescue us." But yes,
Oh, yeah. Good one.
we do talk to people who've rescued pets, and like sometimes it's a mix and match, and they've got cats that they've rescued and cats that were born and they acquired. So even like Aliana, the episode that dropped today, the animal medium, she has two cats. One of them is a rescue that thing she said she found on the side of the road. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
interesting,
Oh,
and then she has horses too. So obviously there's some that she rescued and some that are, um, not rescued.
right, right. Oh, and I bet she can tap into Ozzy Ange. That's probably an episode for you to watch. She's saying her baby passed away, identified a cancer she had in her thyroid. Amazing they can pick up on health issues. I've heard that before. Have you heard that before, Raj? That
Yeah.
they know.
I
Mhm.
think we barely understand a lot of the world, and I think a lot of your guests would feel the same way, that there's a lot that just when you don't understand it, you write it off, or people discount it, or don't give it validity that they should.
Mhm.
So cats feeling, or any animal actually understanding and feeling you. I think one of my guests, DJ IQ, he's an episode. He's in Reno, and he has a dog, and the dog that I'm about to mention, he praised a lot on the show. It just passed recently, but it would sense, he swore that it could sense when he had a bad day, and or if anyone in that household was really going through a time, there was a whole different demeanor, whole different attitude, that, and a whole different level of that dog did, to cuddle up and just kind of not leave you alone. And so that was
Mhm.
really interesting to hear. But yes, obviously they can sniff stuff and drugs and things like that too, right? So why couldn't it sniff some kind of difference in the gene or your body blood stuff
Yeah.
that's going on? So I think there's a lot untapped that dogs can do and animals can do. I think I
Yeah.
heard something about some country was trying to train dogs to sniff COVID, back in the day when all
Wow.
that was going on. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised there. We had that one dog going around VidCon. Remember the bomb sniffing dog? You met
yeah,
him.
I did a quick little piece of content with them because it was an officer, on the job. So, sometimes whether or not you can speak to them, and for them to be receptive to you trying to ask them questions is a little iffy, but I was able to pull it off. So yeah, there was a cool bomb sniffing dog, and I learned something in a very short amount of time there. You had to spend a long time in Texas training. I think he said 10 weeks or something like that. But yeah, it
Oh,
was
wow, just for the
yeah.
just for the specific bombs, or was it all kinds of things, drugs and bombs and
I don't
what?
know, and it
Okay.
was it was the officer, so it was kinda like I
Okay.
got that answer out of him very quickly, and I
Yeah.
was filming his dog, and the dog's at work, so I didn't really have time to
It wasn't a
have a
full-on
big
interview. Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
wanted a
yeah.
piece of content and to learn something.
Yeah.
So, I achieved that goal.
Yeah. Aw. I see that there, Juan. Yes, I heard that as well. Raj, have you heard that when dogs lay on you or want to cuddle up next to you, they consider you part of their pack? I I feel
Yeah.
that to be
Yeah.
true. That's a pack. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
instinct, right?
Absolutely, and there's separation anxiety too. Some people wonder why their dogs are, tear stuff up or do something strange when they go away, and that behavior doesn't really exist when they're there. A lot of people have cameras now in their house, So with the home security cams, they're starting to see a lot more of the Secret Life of Pets. It's a movie, but it's true. They're their own thing, and when you're not there, they have behaviors just as if you left your kid alone. It's gonna be on its probably best behavior while you're around. When it's free to do what it wants, it's gonna jump on a shelf you're not wanting to really happy about.
I've seen some funny videos like that where they like crack on the TV and like they're just laying on the couch and then they're like, oh, they get up, they turn into dog mode. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, they have their own little personalities.
Absolutely.
That's really sweet. Yeah, Pixie, she said she rescues and fosters to pay it forward for the boy who helped her through an onset difficult time with fibromyalgia. I find that often with people who are fostering, such as yourself, Laura, that it's something, it's healing for them as well as it feels good to be of service to somebody else. Um, and I mean, is that hard though? That must be hard to let your pet go after you foster. I don't know. I guess if you're doing it for somebody else, that will always feel good. I meditate with my doggies. They love our Zen time together. Absolutely. Oh, Raj, so you said you had Jean, but don't you have another? Do you have just Jean or you have other pets
I have
yourself?
I have two pets, two dogs, and
Mm-hmm.
Jean Greyhound, an Italian Greyhound, and I have
Mm-hmm.
Peter Barker.
Oh, yeah,
So
they're
they're
great.
both comic inspired names,
Uh-huh.
and Jean is so tiny. She's like very little, and Pete's a small dog as well, but he's a little bit more stout. Uh, but yeah, they're awesome, and They bring a lot of joy to my life, for a long time now. They're like 10 and 11, so it's
Oh,
they've been there a while, you know, and it's
yeah.
cool.
Y
So
Did you always grow up with pets? Did you have them as a child?
Different parts of my life, off and on. I remember the first time dealing with pet loss was kind of interesting. I will always remember
Mm.
it. My mom, I had a goldfish I won from a carnival at some places around the
Ooh.
world. I don't know if they do that in California, but you can throw the ping pong balls in a goldfish thing and win it. And so we, I got one, and I liked the goldfish. It was my first real pet, and it died, and relatively quick. But when
Those
it
are the quickies.
yeah, when it died, my mom flushed it down the toilet, like, to get rid of it, and I was so sad. I was just like I was crying. I felt like it was an undignified way to go, you know? Like, it's like, "Why?
Yeah.
Why the toilet is not a good place. There's bad things in there." So,
Yeah. Yeah, why do fish always end up in the toilet? I've done that before too. My daughter's first was a little beta fish.
they can
Didn't last
bury it.
too long.
They
Yeah,
can bury 'em.
you can, yeah. Oh, we buried hamsters, we buried I grew up with pets. I grew up with cats. In fact, one of my cats growing up, black cat with yellow eyes named Charlie. I named my daughter Charlie.
Oh, wow.
And then I found a black cat with yellow eyes when I was working on set, in East LA at Lacey Studios, and, it was a very specific kitten that came out. They had a lot of cats there that were surviving. They had, like, 3 legs and no tails and alley cats, and the man who ran the studio was like, "Do you want a cat?" And I go, "No, thanks." I go, "I don't can't do the medical bills." He's like, "Okay, there's a new litter," and this black cat walks up. I go, "Oh, it's Charlie again." And I'm like, "Okay." And that was my Jack. And I swear Jack could see spirit. Like he would just like tune into all these things. And he was a great cat. But that loss was a big one. That was before I had kids. And then he had a brother later on who just passed a couple months ago in my arms. So I've had to put one down and then I've had one pass in my arms. The loss of a pet is a big to do, and it's a big business out here. I don't know if any of your guests have talked about that. You know, when they do ceremonies and they bring someone in, and so they don't have to take their pet to a vet, they can do it at home. It's a big, it's
It's
as it.
interesting. There's a
Mhm,
lot of
mhm.
things about, like, the passing of a pet that are around now that didn't exist back in the day, and that's really cool. Like you said, there's services, funerals, you can have a real, actual, a great way to honor them. Many more ways to honor your pet now, after it passes, but the most interesting one recently to me is cloning your pet. Barbara Streisand had cloned her pet. I think she had 5 dogs off of the one or whatnot. So cloning your
No
pet
way.
is an option if you think, "Hey, I just can't live without this dog," or whatever the animal is. I think it's dog, cats, horses. You can pay for a service to preserve that DNA. You can do it now and preserve
Yeah,
the
I
DNA,
bet.
and then whenever the time comes, should you feel the need, you can give it a try. And if it takes, you may have, a few of the versions of on your hands. I think Barbara Streisand had to give away some or whatever, to friends. But like, yeah, yeah, there's
No
cloning.
way.
Yeah, and
I'm
yeah.
I'm not surprised. Some of my tinfoil pals will be like, "For pets too?" We know that's with celebrity. That was entertainment purposes only, people.
Oh,
No way, I didn't know that about Barbara Streisand. That's so funny. Do
yeah.
you find that you gravitate towards, these stories now, like with celebrity? Do you check out do you, like, Google what are their pets, or is it like this is this a super interest that you're diving into? Like, "Ooh,
W
I met this guy on screen. I wonder what his pet is."
Yeah, absolutely. I
Mm,
mean, anytime I
mm.
see anyone doing interesting now, I just kind of put a filter on it, like, "Oh, do they have an animal?" Like, do they have a pet? And then at that point, then it's like somebody that I want to reach out and try to figure out if I can get a hold of them, talk to them, if they have interesting stories and if they're interesting people. The thing they
Sure.
gotta you gotta kind of hope for that, because everyone has great stories. Everyone has great stories. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can't discount anyone. Every human being has value, and every human being has stories. Every human being has
Yes.
family. So it's really cool that everyone has a story. And for now, the thing that I have to do in my mission is to try to come up with neat stories and neat people to package this to where people understand what the mission is. But
Yes.
what's interesting is that I don't discount people of different levels because I love anyone trying to do something. And so, I have had people that you maybe have not heard of, and I've had people that you have heard of on my show.
Mhm.
Siobhan Fallon Hogan, amazing, talented, wonderful character actress who's been around forever. SNL, she played Elaine's roommate on Seinfeld. She let Forrest Gump on the bus. That was
Right,
her,
that's
and
right.
so
Yeah.
she was a guest on my show, which is really awesome. But I
Yay.
also have, you know, uh, I also have this person. She's really cool. She goes by the Comic Slayer on YouTube. Her and her husband Reed. They're expecting now, so they're taking a little YouTube break. But they talk about comics and review comics, and they have a cool one-eyed cat named Willow, who's kind of Twitter famous, right? So
That's awesome.
so yeah, and her sister's Buffy, so they're named after the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She loves comics. Okay, that's really cool, right? And then she has this comics channel. So, it's like and Reed is a comic creator, independent and small. So it's like, there's this really cool small business here. And I want that person to be in the same light as someone like, an Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. So I want when you go to my channel, it's people of doing, if they're doing something cool that you might want to check out, like that's who's going to be on my show. And
I
I try to
so
mix
cool.
big people with little, people.
That's beautiful. And I think folks now who know me in the chat know why I resonated so much with you, because you said all my favorite things, which are, everyone has a story to tell and everyone, wants to be heard, but everybody's fascinating out there. We have like a plethora of information and these exciting stories. We just want, it's fun to share them. And then when it involves your pets, holy smokes, there you go. And there's his handle for stuff. And I see you folks. Hi, Conspiracy Music. Hello, everybody there. They're sharing their stories. Oh, oh no. Was it something I said? He'll be right back. He's coming back. He's coming back. Let me take this one off there. You can find him there on Instagram, as well as Facebook. Here he comes. It happens.
So, Apple's Magic Mouse, that is an ad to not have one of these things because for some reason I was trying to type in your chat and the Magic Mouse backed up. Just one little finger swipe did, I guess, the same action as going backwards on the browser. So my apologies, people. Sorry,
Oh,
I did not
it's
mean to
all good.
dip
It's
out
you
like
know
that.
what? I've had crazier things happen. In fact, Bo turns my light off and on and stuff. So we've seen it all over here. Thanks for sharing these stories, folks. I think I missed a few, but it's really sweet. It brings pet people are a whole nother species themselves. I have some dear friends of mine, some gal friends who, to them they're too old to have children, but their pets are their babies. They're their fur babies, and they are dog moms and cat moms, and that's how they resonate. And they treat those pups as their pets, as they should, as a living creature. But that is their
Yeah.
baby and their pride and joy, and it's really sweet to see. There's little clubs and all those kind of peeps there. Oh, there you are. Raj Raj had to take Bean and Pete to potty. Well, that was a fast potty then. Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
everybody
So
can see me. I'm good. Everything's still back to normal.
back to normal. How's that sound,
Good.
everybody? 5 5. We have a doggy dad with a doggy dad body.
It
That's
looks like
awesome.
my friend John is in the chat too. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Hi, John. Thanks for being here. I see that. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to share your channel more. I know there's the panel there, and I want to watch that medium one because, like I was saying with my pets, there's the paranormal involved with pets. I mean, some say they see spirit and they sense something. And oh my goodness, you're not on. I don't think you're on my Facebook, Raj, but a little bit of a pivot, but definitely has something to do with pets. So last night I had a bat stuck in my room. I have
Oh
no idea.
no.
Yes, and we're West Coast, so I started looking up. I'm like, which kind is this? Is this a bad thing? And my dog is, of course, who warned me because he was behavior. I was just putting my pajamas on in my bathroom, and I come out of and my dog's just going nuts. And of course, Miss who I am, I go, oh, is there a ghost? And then I see a winged guy going around, and it took me a while until finally my brain woke up and said, get the fishing net. and I finally got a net to get him out. But I had to turn off all the lights because he kept hiding when the lights went on. Turn off all the lights, close all the doors. Like, it was a feat. But my front door was open for like 10 seconds earlier, and that's the time when I think he came in. That's the only way I can think. But have you ever had a bat on your show? That's where I'm getting with that.
I've not had a bat, but I've seen The Office, and it can go bad fast. I don't know if you've seen that episode with Meredith
I
and
don't
the
didn't see
bat,
that one, but I
but
can't
yeah,
imagine if
it's
it's on
it's
The Office.
hilarious. But I know that you should be very careful because bats do carry rabies. So if you had any actual contact with it, I don't know. You want to double check that. But
Yeah, I did. I was running. I had my blanket over me, and I took a screen like from the window like this, and I locked the dog up, and he was going nuts. But then it got really late at night, and I closed the kids off and put the dog outside while I finished because I didn't want him to get touched either. So yeah,
mhm,
I did tell the kids. I go, "This could be rabies," and they're like, "Ah!" And they ran in the room and slammed the door.
good. Okay, great.
But what
Yeah.
if does it leave residue or anything? Like, does it? Is that
You might
questionable?
wanna double check, with the vet and just say, "Hey, this is what I did, and this is how close and whatever it is."
Yeah.
The biggest scary part about rabies is there is no going back. It's like 100%, like almost it's like 100% fatal if you let it get symptomatic. So you
Holy
have like a
smokes.
very short window of time to actually go get your rabies shots. And then if something, if you were scratched or bit or touched it physically with any body part, I'd probably double check with a doctor.
Wow. I'm like, "Do I tell my kids that part?" Well, now that it's over, yeah, I'm gonna
No
but
one touched it, so you're fine, I
no,
think.
no one touched it, but it is on the fishing net, so I'm gonna make sure we could because my hubby likes to fish, so we don't want the fish getting rabies. Not that he keeps them. Fish what do you think of fishing? I have a love-hate with it. I just like sitting on the boat with him because he rarely catches anything, but I'm always like, "Ah, we're just torturing fish and then throwing them back." That's, like, what it looks like to me. It's
I
a weird that's a heavy one, right?
it's strange, right? I mean, okay, so being it's a strange thing because you can say I want to love everything and
Mhm.
I don't want to kill anything, and immediately you cannot live by that standard. As you walk, as you drive, there's bugs, there's microorganisms, there's things on you that you're squishing all the time. You're eating things, you're eating bugs. There's a certain amount of bugs that are allowed in food that you buy, like a cereal and whatever. There's a
Yeah.
certain amount of it that's allowed. So, anyways, we're all the time killing things accidentally. So it's
Accidentally, yeah.
so then I think if you catch fish, it is a sport, and I don't know if they feel I have fished and I like to fish. My dad
Uh-huh.
brought me fishing and stuff.
Mhm.
So, but I
My
also
kids like it too.
but
Yeah.
if I have a
Mhm.
pet fish, then I'm gonna love it. So it's kind
Yeah.
of strange that I am open to eating one and also open to loving one.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing.
Well, I get the eating too and hunting. I used to be so I was a little girl like, "Ah!" And I know some of my friends as well, and they will say that in the chat, but sport is one thing, but when, survival, I mean, that's and in protein, I mean, that's the circle of life. I do believe in we eat meat, but we do get from farms and, we do order in our meat and get it specific because but anyway, that's could be touchy for peeps, but there is a cycle of life. You know what I convinced myself and what I started telling myself is for fishing. I figure that when they go back in the water, it like regrows, really, like they. It's like oh,
Yeah.
it's like
Well,
they
well,
correct themselves.
I always think of it this way,
Mhm,
which is like so. I know probably some people in your chat or whatnot are there's aliens and aliens have abductions and stuff. Well, this guy has an alien abduction story he's sharing with the little pond. He's like, "Yo, they got me. They got me. I swear to God, a hook hit my mouth. They got me." And the other fish that have never been caught before are like, you're kind of crazy, man. I don't know what you're talking about." So, it's kinda like an alien abduction, but happening in the
it
fish world.
that I get that. I get that, and I that makes sense. And I think my peeps here would get that too. I love that Blazer. Blazer says, "Seeing a bat that represents long life, good health, financial security, and peace. I'll take that." I did have my hubby was on set. He was doing the new SpongeBob movie. He's a camera dude. So I'm writing him and I'm like, what do I do? I'm glad I didn't use his pillowcase. I was tempted because that was the closest thing. That would have been a bad night for him. Um, okay. You don't have rabies in Australia?
That is
Really,
true. I
Ange?
looked that up. I
Really?
heard someone say that one time, and then I looked it up, and they don't.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh, huh.
it's
Oh,
weird.
and
I
here's
don't know.
wow. Are you seeing that chat? There's more Sasquatch talk. These are some of my those my paranormal pals. Chihuahuas bark at cloaked Sasquatch. I miss my fawn colored beauty. God Jupils, one of her name. Aw. Basically, if you turn into Cujo, it's over. Cujo, that movie scarred me as a kid. So I'm a little bit older than you, but I mean, that everybody knows Cujo. What's some other crazy movies that you've seen, like pet movies that you really like?
Well,
Whether scary or
the
good, or do you have any good ones?
the the Blazers comment right now made me laugh. That's hilarious. What if the
Oh gosh, you're far ahead. I'm so sorry, pals. I didn't get down there for it.
oh
What if only fish that bite are the suicidal fish?
yeah,
Like, take me. Yeah, that
like I'm tired of your crap. I'm gonna bite the worm today, honey. Like he just
there's a meme
tells
there,
us,
peeps.
yeah. um, but okay, so back to the movies that are pet related that are cool. I
Uh-huh.
like that one movie that as I forget what it's called, A Dog's Journey or something like that. It's like the dog gets reincarnated as another dog, and it's really sweet. It's really cool. It's a tearjerker. I like
Oh.
that one. I did Pet Cemetery, Midwest Night Watchers. Absolutely, Pet Cemetery is really cool. Very wild movie because that's about loss and the lengths you go to not suffer a loss, but then it kind of backfiring. So super cool movie, Pet Cemetery.
Mhm.
Dog's Purpose. Thank you, Area 51. That's the one that I was talking about for the
Oh, okay.
the
I'm
tearjerker
gonna
one. Put that on your
Dog's
list.
Purpose. Yeah, I
Yeah,
am. That's the
yeah.
all ages family one. Do you know what my kids and I just watched is King Arthur. Did you see it? Did you with Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg? It's new.
Hmm.
It's a true story. It's really good, you guys. It's a true story about a man who ran this like triathlon thing, like this Iron Man kind of thing. And the dog follows him like 500 miles, like a stray dog from I can't remember where, Dominican Republic, I think. And it's a
Wow.
story about him, how he's like, well, how did you wind up here? I've crossed rivers and done all these things. And that dog, because he fed him at one stop, that dog was like, I'm yours. So the loyalty from pets is really a big thing. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Pet loyalty's a lot. Well, I'm sure a lot of your guests talk about the loyalty, or maybe that's the connection. They have a bond themselves. They're loyal to each other.
Yeah, I mean, pet loyalty is amazing, and it's different for the animal, I guess. You could say, but there's definitely a bond. I think there's a difference between like an understanding, a bond. Some people kind of in my conversations, I would think that they're kind of say like some of the pets they have an understanding with, right? I did. There's a really cool up and coming musician, Timberland signed him. His name's Colt Graves. He's a country artist, super
Mhm.
cool dude, and he's gonna blow up. I really feel confident that kid's gonna go far. But Colt Graves has a farm. He's a Kentucky boy, so he's got goats and cats and dogs and stuff. But he is the dog guy, and I think his wife is the cat person. So there's some cats, and you could hear the way he's talking about one of the cats in there. Like one of them, they have a little bit of a little rivalry kind of thing going on there. So I think them living together is an understanding between them more so than it is like a loyalty bond.
Aw, that's really cute. That's cute. And speaking of goats and everything, Midwest Night Watchers, who you see here, they have goats. They have activity, and they leave cameras out 24/7. So they're watching everything. They have some fun. They have some fun stuff out there. It's like live feed of their farmish area. Is it a farm? I guess you would call it a farm then. Oh, here's some more movies. A Dog's Purpose and then Homeward Bound. I remember that one from the 90s. That made
Oh,
me
Homeward
bawl.
Bound, yeah.
Oh, that's like
The,
a
the
whole
one
different
guy got the porcupine needles in his face,
yeah.
in his mouth. I think in that wasn't that the movie?
Yeah, and I think it was one of the first of its kind, right? When they used pets, like that were the main care. I
It was
mean,
that
no,
Milo and
Lassie,
Otis. Milo and
Lassie.
Otis was that time period too
Oh,
for
that's
for
right.
for me. But yes, before that was Lassie. Mr. Ed.
Lassie,
Mr.
that's
Ed
right.
was a great TV show that it had an animal,
Yeah.
as well, you know, and then I think they put the trick for Mr. Ed was they put peanut butter in his mouth or something, so he'd
Oh,
always, like, move his little lips when he had to do the dialogue or something like that.
yes, that was it. Oh, Hachi, I don't know the Hachi one.
White
Speaking
Fang, I remember that.
White Fang. Speaking of all these movies with, so I have, gosh, you know what? I have to remember that for you. My Rolodex is the animal trainers,
Oh, y
for
amazing.
on set,
Yeah, I would
because
love to speak to them.
there's some farms out here, I'm kind of more in the high desert in a way, but there's some ranches that's all they do. They raise pets for and animals for that. And it's usually the same pet going around. I mean, I've done Purina commercials and they have doves, there's birds, there's anything you can think of. They have to get them to go from point A to point B on camera. And it's
Yeah.
involves a lot of training.
Yeah, but
A lot of
those are
training.
that's amazing. I would love to speak to them. There's the pets can be talented and to do tricks, and I wanna know those people. I wanna know everybody that's got a cool pet story, Again, it's not
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many out there. It's literally unlimited, like, the amount
Yeah.
of people that have stories. I mean, everyone in this chat seems to have a story, which is amazing, it's like, I think that's what's good about pets.
Yeah, it's a bond. I don't know that one. Where'd you go? I lost it, Bauer, but it looked cool. It looked like something. My kids are really connected to pets too. It's an emotional extension of them, I think. And when our cat died, my daughter kind of took him under her wing for his last couple years, and so it was considered hers, even though I had him before she was born. But anyway, I gave her that moment. But it was, it's her way of experiencing death. She really, I mean, it is a death, and
How did they
kids,
react to that?
she still has flashback and she'll still have an emotional reaction when she thinks of him. And she carries little pictures of him. She keeps his bed together, and we did the ashes. And right before he passed, we tried to do the paw print. Note to anybody who does that before, I mean, with paint to trim, if you're a cat, trim that hair, because it was really like we were just paint brushing, and we're like, we'll know what it looks like, but it really didn't look like a paw print. But so he passed away with a turquoise paw. um she's still handling it, and we didn't want to jump right in and get anything new. We're going to let her process for a while and honor him, and perhaps next year for her 15th we thought maybe introducing another kitten. So that's a give it about a that would give it a year and a half there.
Mhm,
But it did shift something in her, and it was so well timed for being a teen, because
mhm.
I think if she was really able to just bury all these other emotions going on into this moment. So
Has
yeah.
has she lost anything, near and dear to her before? I assume at some
Yes.
yeah.
Actually, and not a pet, it brings up something big. Her dad, her biological dad, who pretty
Oh,
much walked out and abandoned, and she was old enough to make that a very serious issue for her. My son doesn't he's kind of like a memory now, and their stepdad legally adopted him this year.
awesome.
So, yeah, but the dad is in town and he just doesn't try, doesn't text, doesn't call, doesn't that nothing. So she has this continued loss. So I felt there was a lot of channeling in the pet for that way, and we allowed that to happen. So yeah, he has a permanent shrine here. James was his name with the Z.
Rest in
And
peace, James.
James with the Z, and his boy was Jack, the guy I took from Lacey Studios. So it was a year after I had Jack. I'm like, he needs a buddy, because I'd be on set like for 14 hours and leaving this cat, and I'm like, he needs a friend. So I adopted James, and James lived the longest. Jack passed. Yeah, that was tragedy. That was more at 8 years old, and it was more internal. He had liver failure, and
Mm.
I think he got my poinsettias. So I had a lot of,
Oh,
so that's where we attribute it to. But yeah,
did
so all
did
that
was
loss.
she too young to register that at that time?
No, when Jack was passing, they were young. I kept sending, and I was a single mom then, so the neighbor kept helping. We were in an apartment, and I was hoping Jack would pass at home, but they saw me. I was losing it. That was my big to do. So finally, when I said, I had a neighbor friend is a vet, and she goes, "Yeah, we were getting to some suffering. It's time. You got to take him in and help assist this." I did
Mhm,
that when they went to school, and I by myself, and um, yeah, they gave me that one, and I gave them the James one as far as the
mhm.
real outpouring of mourning. But she was young enough, and she really took her brother. He was very little, so she kind of just nurtured him while I was mourning.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that was a big, but all the pictures I have of them as babies coming home, it was Jack that would sit by the crib. He would just sit next to him, this huge fat black cat. And he would always be in every photo of the kids. I just notice him now. He's usually in the background, like watching. He was their guardian. So, and
That's
soon
amazing.
after he passed, Bo came into our life, our dog Bo, and that we found him running up the 101 on ramp. Not
Oh my
we,
gosh.
another mom friend. Yeah, so that would be a fun story for your channel too. But he was a puppy, and we guesstimated the vet was guesstimating maybe 8-9 weeks, and we think he was overbred. It was a breeding situation. He's a purebred cocker spaniel, but he's got a little funky thing going on. He's got a temper, a really random temper. But he is loyal to a fault. Like every bathroom, everything you go, and he screams when you close the door on him. And so he became our little dude and protector, really. He's a protector. So yeah, he's our guy. Now we're removed. He has his own yard now. Like, we have space. We've all calmed down. But I tell you, pets completed our family. I mean, of course, my husband did, the stepdad did, but the pets were first. They were like, "Oh yeah, a giant would be great." We call him the giant, my husband. So when I knew he accepted the dog for being really a wackadoodle, I'm like, "Okay, you're in."
Yeah,
Aw, pets rock. I had turtles too. I love turtles. Did you ever have a turtle on your show? I didn't see that yet. I didn't,
I
or
have had a
any.
tortoise, a desert tortoise. So there's a DJ
Oh, I
named
love
Tina
those.
T. She has a
Mhm.
Chihuahua and a desert tortoise, and she has another dog now. So the episode was recorded. I believe her little dog passed, but she got another dog. The tortoise
Aw.
is fine. The tortoise is interesting for people who ever think about owning a desert tortoise. Like, it's kind of like one of some of the birds where it's almost like it gets factored into your estate planning. Like, who is going to care for this thing after you go?
Wow.
Because it's going to outlive you, which is kind of cool. If you don't want
It's
to deal with if you don't want to deal with loss, you can get a desert tortoise because that thing will be like, well, she's gone now. Who's going to feed me, right? Like, it's what I mean, like that thing will outlive you. So.
I heard 150. I mean, sometimes 100. I mean, and
Yeah.
they hibernate half the year, right? They
Mm-hmm.
hibernate underground.
Brumate, they call it brumation. I learned that from the interview of the show. So
Rumation?
brumation. So they
Oh,
call it brumation
huh.
for them, not hibernation.
Oh my gosh,
Hibernation
I
would be
love.
from a bear.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah,
But
you're
those are the
learning a
kind of
lot
things
on
that
your show.
those are the kind of things you learn when you talk to people about their pets, or
That's
when you
so
watch the
cool.
show about people talking about their pets.
That's so cute. I like that you're saying, I mean, I like that you're doing, it's a podcast, but I see, remember I was like, oh, let's do Saturday morning because like Saturday morning cartoons or something. Cause I
Mhm,
loved watching those kind of interesting shows as a kid. So I
mhm.
could see with a channel, like on cable, like
Yeah,
a show.
and that's why I call it a show. I don't really call it a
Yeah.
podcast because,
Hmm.
one, I don't export audio versions of it. I think a podcast originally, when I think of podcast, I think of audio.
Okay.
So it's definitely visual, and the visual element helps a ton. So
Hmm.
it's still good conversation to just listen to. But
Hmm.
let me break down the elements of the show. So the show has a few different elements, and obviously the topics and what we do, and we benefit the charity highlight. But as you watch the show, there's a couple of factors that are key factors of it. Every episode is under 20 minutes long. Every episode not has as the conversation is happening, you're seeing a slideshow, or not really slideshow, but like you're seeing interwoven, edited into this. You're seeing pictures and videos of their actual pets. So you're seeing this happen as they're talking about, and pop-up facts go across the screen at different intervals that tell
That's
you different
awesome.
facts about maybe the animal or something about a situation. So you're learning as you watch the show too, by the facts that pop up on the screen. I was inspired by pop-up video from VH1 back in the day. So I really
Yes.
wanted to make this like a learning show, good for all family. And also, so I edit out any cuss words and stuff. And yeah, good for the whole family. But yeah, it's not like kitty. It's just something cool. If you like this conversation we're having now, that's kind of like what we do, except for there's facts and animal cuteness happening all the time.
I love, well, the mom in me loves that, and the teacher too. I'm an educator at a homeschool learning center, and I'm like, I love this. I love this stuff. That's perfect. How you do a lot of editing, like you do a lot to your shows. How far out do you book? Like, are you constantly in the studio basically?
Yeah, so I just actually met someone at VidCon who's super cool, and maybe I'm working out an agreement to have an extra hand in editing, which is going to be cool if I
Awesome.
can do that and pull that off, and if everything works out. So I'm really hoping that that works out because that would be great. I'm looking at my whiteboard now on the wall. I have one, two, three, four, five. Well, that one I released today. It's five. I got two interviews to record tomorrow. So these are all recorded interviews. You record them
Awesome.
first
Yeah.
and then they're done. So then I can edit them later, right? So it's all about keeping it constantly there. Even before I jumped on this call, I saw somebody's live stream, a person that I never knew, and it might be that they never had a dog. I'm not sure, but I've never seen them post about a dog before, and they were live streaming them walking the dog. It was a DJ that's kind of famous. So I was like, yo, like, as a hey, and I wrote them about being a guest right before hopping on your show. So I'm constantly aware, constantly doing
Mhm.
outreach, and constantly recording. I need to record as many episodes as possible so that way it's done, and then it's just down to the editing, right?
Yeah.
The editing
Yeah.
process is a big process because you take the two clips like we're talking now, and you have to make it one, and then it's a multicam clip, and then you're the director or the editor at that point, and you're kind of saying camera one, camera two, camera one, camera two. If you're talking, I'm switching to you. I'm talking, asking a question, it goes to me. Or if something super funny happens, I might go to a clip of me laughing, or whatever. And then, so you do the initial edit. Then I put a border around it. Then I put the lower thirds. Then I pick the background music or make the background music in some cases and whatever. So yeah, it's a lot, but I do it and it's fun.
I Whoa. Oh my gosh, I love that. Have you always done the tech stuff, or did you learn that as you went along? Was this
I've
something you've
been
already were
a I've
comfortable?
So I've always loved DJing. I just unearthed some old photos back in the day. It was 2005. So I think next year when it hits 20 actual years, I'll put it out there. But it was me DJing, and I had this
So you
Mac
okay.
Mini
Okay.
computer and a big old monitor before it was flat screen, like a CRT monitor. And I'm at this gig, and it's just ridiculous amount of stuff, unprofessional looking to have with you. You know what I mean? But like this was like only 4 years into digital DJing at the time. Now, every DJ has a laptop pretty much, or thumb drives in a CD player thing. But the now it's the way it is. But when I started, it was new, and I wanted a Mac because everyone said Macs, they're the best, and I still think that to this day. But anyway, it's just I've loved tech. I've always been an early adopter of tech. I had an iPhone since the first one. I stayed in line at Best Buy to get the first iPad. I've always learned on my own about how to do things because I wanted to do them. I had a podcast before it was a thing and before it was popular. My friends and I
Mhm.
joke about some of the stuff that I did back in the day that
Mhm.
is like kind of commonplace now for people. But yes, I love tech. I love everything about it. I like mics. I like audio. I like video. Everything.
That's fantastic. I love that. Well, now all your loves are coming together, and
Yeah.
I feel like what the creation is, and you're on this beautiful journey. And now you have all these episodes coming out, and folks, you can see that at Industry Pets, that's the handle. Um, but what's the next step? So you think maybe even the TV show, but it's just
Hmm.
growing this, right? Like
Yeah.
building your roster and
Yeah.
mhm,
So my here's a lot of what I do. I really try to start at the end and work backwards, and
oh,
that's kind of like a philosophy I always have had for a long time. So I ultimately, and maybe if you guys can help me will this into reality, I appreciate it in the chat. I
we're
mean,
good at that.
yeah, these are some high value, high mind thinkers. Your community, I love that. I've been watching shows and kind of like, you know, peeking in on things leading up to this. So I love your community. They're very awesome. But help me put this into the world. But the starting at the end and working backwards for industry pets is basically like I want to meet people that grew up watching my show, so kind of like LeVar Burton and Reading Rainbow. That's what I would love. But then also the execution of that and what it looks like in reality to everybody is going into any Petco, any animal store, and every single aisle, there's like some kind of toy brand, terrarium, aquarium, rabbit food, litter bed. something like that that's that they've licensed our name and it's a good product, right? We would only back good products, but I want to basically, have industry pets be synonymous with, pets and pet culture. So I would think that every aisle, every dog toy aisle would have at least one part segment that would be industry pets, toys or whatever. And you go, oh, I want this one because it's an industry pets toy. So that's the end and working backwards. So obviously there would be a TV show. I'd love to be on Animal Planet, something like that, where there's other people editing and doing even higher value production. Like that would be
Mhm.
cool. Doing stuff in person, being able to be there in real life and like shoot some content with like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something in his house, and then having a sit down like that. That's what I see for the future
That's so
of the
cool.
show.
Well, I see it too. So, and we're all woo woo. So, did you get a lot from VidCon? I'm going to start winding it down, but did you leave? Did you go to VidCon by yourself, first of all? And did you leave going, yes, that was valuable?
Yeah, 100%. I went by myself, and yes, it was valuable. It was valuable in so many different ways. Networking it was very fun and fruitful. I thought I would
Mhm.
honestly network a little bit more, but I'd probably say a little bit of the first time there is getting my bearings and seeing what's up. Because I kind of felt confident to go up to people with creator badges and go, "Hey, like, what's your show? I'll follow you," or "What's your thing?" And a lot of people with creator badges didn't create anything. They didn't have anything. They just
I
wanted
noticed
the
that too.
access around the creators. So then I started to
Right?
get a
They
little bit,
wanted the swag.
yeah, I got a little bit gun shy, like, oh, I don't even know if these, like, it's like when you know that everybody that you would talk to is a creator, then you can say, hey, what's your show? I'll follow you, right? And then you start a conversation. So when you
Mhm.
do that a few times and you hit some brick walls, you kind of slow down a bit. And you're like, oh, let me try to see who's
Yeah.
really, doing something. And then you eavesdrop or figure out a way in or whatever. But the most fruitful thing I'd say is that Juice or Jesus, that
I
we
loved
met.
him. Yeah.
I heard you reference him on your show, but that's how we met, and
Yeah.
it was just really this cool mentorship session. I think that was surprisingly of high value because there was only 4 people with this like creator who has millions of followers. So there was
Yeah.
4 of
And
us
his
for an
manager and
hour,
like,
and
yeah.
his manager and his manager was nice too and down to earth,
Mhm.
and manager assistants that are about to bloom into full real deal managers at some point in their careers. So it's like
Yeah.
it was all really cool, and every one of them gave all of us respect and attention, and I did not expect that with the past
Yes,
of
I know.
VidCon. I thought it would be like I got 5 minutes like a speed date, and then I'm out of there. That's how I
Mhm.
thought the mentorship session would go. I did not know it'd
Mhm.
be 4 people in a room with a full hour. It was amazing and fruitful. So
It
that's my
was
tip.
really cool. I
Mhm.
was kicking myself after for not being a little more assertive because I think there was a few moments where I wanted to keep it going. Like, oh, I
Mhm.
have so many questions. I don't want to just. And that's where
Yeah.
I made a point to say, I think some people just really want to share their stuff, but I
Yeah.
want, I mean, bless their heart. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a really special. That day is the day I told my kids, "You're coming to one of those little meetings with me," like because I went to one of the actual panels, and I
Mhm.
think that was about monetizing. And then I kind of was like,
Mhm.
they really assisted me because the rest of the time I really gave for them. Like even the very
Mhm.
end, I was at that dance party with them and I had a blast. But I was like, okay, like the last day, I just waited in all the lines for their swag and I gave it. I was the mom that day, but a day before, I'm like, okay, I'm hustling. Kids, come on, go get your swag in that room. I'll be right back.
Yeah, they
It
they
was
did a
so
great
great.
job of having stuff. Yeah, for even the what is the first level, the community badge? Is that
The
the normal, the
community.
normal, like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's, it really gives people a chance to go and meet their creators and be around and see some cool
Yeah.
stuff. And maybe if they want to get their feet wet, they could start learning how to become a creator. But some people, like I said, they're pros and they understand, oh, if I really want to be around the creators, I'm going to get the creator badge. And so they're just walking around with the rest of us that are trying to be there. Because the reason that I think that the separation is important is that we are there to get and absorb information for the levels that we're at, right? So like we're all
That
trying
makes
to grow
sense.
our brand and grow our
Mhm.
stuff, right? So when if you're having a conversation here and other people are having a conversation here, and then sometimes like there's some maybe like early stage stuff that's a little bit, doesn't add to the momentum that the other people are trying to reach. I think that it's a little bit of a thing to test your patience, but it
Mhm.
happens, and that's life. Your life is about
Mhm.
dealing with things and that you don't foresee. So when I bought a creator badge, I first saw myself only around creators. I did not know that there was no real verification on the VidCon end of things, you know. So
Mhm. Yeah, it was a place like VidCon that I see that differentiate, different categorize,
I hear
differentiating
him.
the
I hear you
passes.
going.
Yeah, there he was. Come here, Bubba. That's important because there's some conference I'm like, everyone, no class system, but somewhere like that, no, you get the serious. You have to do who's serious, who is creating, and who's fangirling and fanboying.
Mhm.
And that's why it was nice, the levels too. You could go upstairs and have these private meetings, and it was really cool. So well done. Did you say you were there before? That was our first one.
Oh, it was
So have
my
you been
first
there?
one too, but
Oh,
I've seen
okay.
other people have been there before, which is why they knew better than to get a regular badge, and they wanted to be around creators. So they're now their new normal is buying a creator badge. So I'm like, well, dang, do I buy an industry badge next
Industry,
time? Because
right?
then I'm gonna go, to the third level. But to me, it
Yeah.
seemed like what they were pitching for industry, the way that they described it was for people that had like a product to sell, right? So like if I wasn't just a person with a show, if I had like a thing, I made an app that you could use for your show, then I would obviously buy the industry badge because there's like money on the line for me to
Mhm.
potentially work out some kind of brand partnership deal with somebody, But I'm not that right now. I'm more of like a
Not
show
yet.
producing guest. So
Yes, yes, but not yet. Well, I'm so grateful you took the time to do this with me. Thank you so very much. And folks, and Henry, I see you popped in there. Hi, pals. I really appreciate you all in the chat. That was very moving too. I wish I could save this live chat because there were so many that with their deceased pets, and everyone has a pet story to share. I loved that. Mr. G, when Chow, oh, I love this. Everybody, it was beautiful. And I really hope you all go take the time to go check out at Industry Pets. Where's your most active social media? Is it Instagram? Is that the
I
biggest? Is
I mean Instagram and TikTok, all of the shorts
TikTok?
go
That's
there.
right.
So
I
if
would
you if you
forget.
don't if you don't if you want bits and pieces of it, it's there. But if you really want the full conversation, I suggest you do that. You go to YouTube. YouTube has shorts now and stuff like that too. So it's literally on all three of those platforms. But if you want to see a full episode, that's where you're going to get the most. You're going to get surprised. You're going to see and learn about these people and get their full story. So it's kind of fun to
Okay.
do the clips, but at the same time, I really think the big value, if you found value in this conversation, that you'll find a lot of value in the full shows on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm finally on TikTok. It was that mentorship meeting that I left
Hmm.
going, okay, I got to get on there. And I just started.
How do you
So
like it?
thanks, Jesus. I like it. I was like, oh, yeah. And it's also, I learned from that meeting, narrow it down. Like, just make the one niche because I'm like,
Yeah.
let's go over here and over here. And I have this channel to do that. My YouTube, my YouTube's all over. Thanks, Victoria. She says, great show, enjoyable. I think they're really enjoying this. Please check out Raj at Industry Pets. And if you know someone in the industry, you yourself, I mean, gee, you're a creator there. And want to share any of your pet stories, please reach out to them. How can they
Yeah.
reach you? Through the sites, through the
Through
pages?
Instagram, there's a
And
contact form on the website, industrypets.fun. And yeah, just hit me up. I'm always ready to talk and to listen. And I love to, have you be a part of my community as well. We're just people who love pets hanging out. And I'm trying to get more community oriented things as it grows. Because right now you can't just say, hey guys, come to my party, and no one, if you show up to a party and no one's there, people kind of go, I'm not coming to this party, right? So I'm waiting for the right time, but I do plan to incorporate things like I want to potentially ask people to send me their pet photos and stuff that they want to be included in the credits, right? So we can maybe perhaps highlight real
nice.
people's pets at the ends of the shows, and maybe they stick around to the end to see if their pet made the credits, or something
Yeah.
like that that involves the community. So right now, the community part is the big challenge for me to one grow it to actually be worthy of mentioning, because I don't want anybody to give me their time and feel that they've wasted their time because they went to something
Aw.
unsuccessful. You know what I mean? So
Aw.
I'm trying to wait for it, and when I strike and when I unveil some opportunity for community, I will let people know.
I love that. I just see the big picture and I see what you are doing and I think it's beautiful. And I do, just like you said with that country singer that's going to be huge. I think this is just one of your major steps. You're going places, kid.
Thank you so much, Heidi. It's a pleasure to be on your show. You have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
show. You have an amazing community, and
Thanks. They're sweet
I love
bees.
what you do. It's great, and you share insight with your family and so much cool stuff. I don't have kids, but some of the stuff you say is like really cool and kind and
Aw,
resonates, even though I don't have children. So your content
thank
is
you.
awesome.
You have fur babies. So,
Yeah, I do.
well, thank you to the live chat. I'm so very happy to see you here. I'll let you know when those 2 episodes I did this week are airing. And yeah, happy Saturday. Have a beautiful, blessed weekend. And Raj, I hope to talk to you soon.
All
So
right.
have a beautiful one.